Hi everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic day. In today's tutorial, we're going to go a little frugal because what we're gonna do is to recycle an old men's shirt into a really adorable tote bag. So the finished measurement of this tote bag is 15 inches by 13 inches. There are a couple of pockets inside, so there is one zipper pocket and one slip pocket. So as you can see here, we're gonna keep the front pocket and the center of the bag, and we're gonna use like a little bit of accent fabric that is made of 2.5 inches strips. So if you have any old men's shirt laying around in your closet, pull that out now. We're gonna go ahead and make this fun little tote bag. And without further ado, let's get started. So for this project, you will need obviously an old men's shirt that you've already washed and ironed, and the size should be at least the size M, and I recommend using cotton or cotton blend. We're gonna start off by cutting off both of the sleeves. Then we're gonna cut off the front bodies through the side seams here. Cut the collar and the yoke as well. Now you want to extract the pocket out of these front bodies, so just cut an 8-inch square out of this. Now you want to take the back bodies and fold these in a half. Then you want to straighten up the edges here. Once you've done that, cut two 4-inch strips out of this. Then you want to straighten the edges up, and you are going to cut this to be 22 inches long. So you should end up with two 22 by 4-inch strips, and these are going to be the straps of the bag. Now from what's remaining from the back bodies, we're going to cut a 12 inches square. So first I'm going to trim this off 5 inches. Then from here we're going to extract the 12-inch square. Now from the other front bodies here, I'm going to trim off the buttons. Then I'm going to fold this in a half and cut some 2.5 inches strips out of this. Then I'm gonna do the same with whatever left from the back bodies piece. And out of those strips, you will need to extract 4 16 by 2.5 inch strips and 2 8 by 2.5 inch strips. We're going to extract the pocket pieces out of the sleeves. You'll need to cut two 12 by 8 inches rectangles for the zipper pocket and two 8 inches by 6 inches rectangles for the slip pocket. I also still got extra fabric from the front bodice piece where we extracted the front pocket, so I'm going to use this one to make the slip pockets. From the accent fabric, you will need to cut two 8 by 2.5 inches strips, two 16 by 2.5 inches strips, and two 12 by 2.5 inches strips. Take your 8-inch square, the one with the pocket, and place it on the center. Then you want to take the 8 by 2.5 inches strips from your accent fabric and place that on the side of your pocket square. Then you want to take the 8 by 2.5 inches strips of the main fabric and place that on the side of the accent fabric. Then you want to lay the 16 by 2.5 inches strips from your accent fabric and your main fabric, just like what I'm showing you here. You're going to end up with something like this. Now we are going to start piecing this together. So from the side here, you're going to sew this with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. press this towards the darker color. Now we're going to work on the back exterior piece. Take your 12 inches square and lay that around the center, and then you want to take the two 12 inches by 2.5 inches strips from the accent fabric and lay that on the sides just like so. Then you want to take the remaining 16 by 2.5 inches strips from your main fabric and lay that on the top and the bottom. And now we're going to piece this together. Now that we've got our front and back pieces ready, it's time to sandwich and quilt this. So I've already sandwiched my piece with a quilt backing and a quilt batting, and I'm going to quilt this using my walking foot, performing the simple wavy lines. They are about 1/2 inch apart. I really like this kind of design because it is so mindless. I don't even have to measure anything, and I like that organic looking style that you can achieve with this method. Obviously, you can quilt this with any kind of design that you like. You can do straight stitching, you can do free motion or hand quilting, whatever your preference is. So here's my exterior pieces already quilted and the edges are already trimmed. Now we're gonna move on and work on the pockets and the lining as well. We're gonna work on the zipper pocket first. Draw an 8 inch by 1/2 inch of rectangle. You're gonna draw this rectangle about 1.5 inches away from the top, just like so, and then you wanna draw a horizontal line on the center and 2 3/8 of an inch diagonal lines on both sides, forming little triangles. Then you want to place this piece on the center on one of your lining piece about 2 inches away from the top. Then you want to pin that in place. Then we're gonna sew all around the outer lines of this rectangle. Once you've done that, you're going to cut along the center line and these little diagonal lines. And you want to be a little careful once you've got to the corner not to cut through the stitching line. Then you want to turn this to the other side and finger press those cutting lines open. Then you want to go ahead and give this a quick press. Then you want to turn this pocket piece to the wrong side. And again, you want to give it a quick press to keep it nice and neat. Now prepare your zipper. The zipper that you're gonna use has to be at least 8 inches long. And my zipper is kind of longer, a lot longer than it should be, but it's okay. We can always trim this since this is a polyester zipper. And as always, I'm going to use this WASHAWAY Wonder tape. And I'm gonna cut just enough to where I want my zipper to show and place that right on the edge of my zipper tapes here. Peel the top layer off. Then you want to place your lining piece on top of the zipper where the zipper teeth gonna be shown on the template, just like what I'm showing you here. Then we're gonna sew this all around. I like using my walking foot to do this job, but you can also use the normal foot or the zipper foot. And you want to sew this between 1/8 and 1/4 inch away from the edge of your template. Once you've done sewing, you want to turn this to the wrong side. And if you're using the longer size zipper, go ahead and trim those extras off. Now you want to place your other zipper pocket piece on top and sew this with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. And voila, our zipper pocket is done. Now we are going to move on and work on the slip pocket. Now take your slip pocket pieces, lay that right side together, and then we're going to sew this all around, leaving about 2 and 3 inches opening. Once you've done that, cut all the 4 corners. Be careful not to cut through the stitches, and then you're going to turn this inside out, and I'm going to use my knitting needle here to poke all the corners so it will lay flat. Now take your pocket piece and lay that on top of your front lining piece about 4 inches away from the top, and put that right on the center, just like so. And you want to place the opening hole at the bottom here. Now we're going to pin this in place and sew the sides and the bottom as well. Now that we've sewn the slip pocket, it's time to work on the magnetic snap. So we're going to attach the male part first here to the front lining piece. First we're gonna measure down right on the center here, 2 inches away from the top, and put a little mark there with your fabric marker. And you want to do the same on the wrong side as well. And take a couple scraps of interfacing. They're about 2 inches square. Lay them on where you put the mark on the wrong side of your lining piece, and you're going to fuse this with an iron. Once you've done that, you want to turn this to the right side. Now take your washer and place it on top of where you put the mark, making sure that the hole on the center there is sitting right on top of the mark. Then you want to trace those 2 little holes on the side, forming 2 lines there. Then you want to cut through those 2 little lines. I'm using my seam ripper here. You just want to be careful not to overdo it. Insert the prongs of the magnetic snap through those holes that you just created. Then you want to take the washer and insert that through those prongs of your magnetic snap, and using your thumb you want to press the prongs towards the side. And that's it. Now you want to go ahead and attach the other one exactly the same way we did. Next we're going to work on the strap. So you need to cut some interfacing for this. Your interfacing should be 2 inches wide and obviously the same length as your strap. I'm using the fusible woven interfacing here. So we're going to fuse this with an iron on cotton setting. Once you've done that, you want to fold this strap in half and then press. Then you want to open this one up and fold the edges towards the center fold and press. And then you want to fold this again and press. Then you want to go ahead and sew this strap all around with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Once you've got both of your straps sewn, we're going to attach this to the back. Measure in 4 inches from the side of your back. Then take one of the strap and place both ends on the mark, making sure that they're not twisted. Use a couple of sewing clips to keep this in place, and then you're going to sew this with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Once you've done sewing this, you want to go ahead and work on the other one. Now we're going to start assembling the back. So first you're going to draw a 2-inch square on the bottom corners here. This is to create that boxy look at the bottom of the back. Then you want to cut those squares off. Lay your front and back exterior shell right side together. Use some sewing clips to keep them in place. Then you want to sew the sides and the bottom with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Once you've done sewing this, you want to open that bottom corner and match the seams. Just like so, secure that in place with a sewing clip, and then you're going to sew this with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Then you want to do the same with the other side. Once you've done that, you may turn this inside out and see for now how your tote bag turned out. We're going to work on the lining piece pretty much the same way. The only difference though, you're gonna need to leave about 3 to 4 inches of opening at the bottom right there. I've got my lining already sewn here, and here is the opening bottom, and the corners are already boxed, so I'm just going to turn this inside out, and voila! Now that you've got your exterior and lining piece ready to go, you want to turn this exterior shell back to the wrong side, and you want to keep this lining piece on the right side. Then you want to insert this into your exterior shell, and you want to make sure that the right side of your exterior shell is touching the right side of your lining. And of course, the front exterior shell should be touching the front lining piece, and the back exterior shell should be touching the back lining. So you want to match the side seams first and secure that in place with the sewing clips. We're going to sew this all around with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Once you've done sewing this, you want to pull the lining out, find that opening bottom, and then you're going to turn this back inside out through that opening hole. Now you want to smoothen up the edges here. You may use your finger or the tip of your scissor, or simply give it a quick press. And then we're going to top stitch this all around. Once you've done top stitching, you want to go ahead and pull the lining and find that opening hole at the bottom. Fold that in, and then you want to go ahead and sew this close. Once you've done sewing this, you want to go ahead and tuck the lining back inside, and voila, now you have yourself a new tote bag. And that's all I have for you today, guys. Thumbs up if you like this tutorial, and I shall see you next time with another fun sewing project. Goodbye!